Cinema changed here. I mean that in the most literal way. If you want to see the moment modern filmmaking learned to trust the viewer, you do not need a lecture. You need one scene, a dark room, a man asking for justice at a wedding. That is how The Godfather begins. No voiceover, no recap, no frantic montage, just a face lit in close-up, telling you something ugly, and the film letting you sit with it. Why does this movie still feel heavy even now? It moves with control, and control carries weight. The opening teaches a rule. Power does not need to shout. Power can speak softly and still fill the room. The camera starts tight on Bonacera. His voice stays low. His words stay plain. The story is brutal, but the delivery is calm. Then the frame expands. We see Don Corleone. That reveal does not feel like a trick, it feels like a door opening. Coppola is telling you right away that this world has layers. He is also telling you that you were allowed to figure things out on your own. Before this film, a lot of American movies still played like performances aimed at the back row. Big lighting, big emotions, big signposts. The Godfather goes the other way. It assumes you can read a room, read a face. It assumes you can feel tension without being told that tension exists. That is the first lesson it teaches filmmakers. You can build suspense with patience. Look at how the film stages that opening. The wedding is bright and full. The office is dark and sealed. Those spaces are not just settings, they are systems. Outside, life looks normal. Inside, power moves. And you understand the difference without a single line explaining it. This is also where the writing shifts the culture. The dialogue does not sound like a screenwriter trying to sound important. It sounds like people who have lived inside this structure for decades. Don Corleone does not deliver speeches. He gives short lines that land like facts. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. It is not said with drama, it's said like a business note. That tone changed writing. It taught writers that menace can live under polite language. You can let the audience do the math. It taught writers to leave space. Space is the secret ingredient in the film. Space in the writing, in the pacing, in the performances, space in the frames. That space forces the viewer to lean in. Now we need to talk about Gordon Willis. Willis did not shoot The Godfather like a glossy studio picture. He shot it like a memory you cannot shake. He let faces disappear into shadow, let eyes go dark, made rooms feel like caves. He treated darkness as part of the story. In the early 70s, that was not the safe choice. Studios liked bright images read as expensive, bright images read as clean. Willis made the opposite argument. Darkness can look expensive too. Darkness can look honest, and darkness can make power feel frightening. Now think about that office again. Light hits the desk, it hits the hands, it hits the edges of a face. The rest falls away. You do not get a full read on Don Corleone, you get a partial read, and that is the point. You do not know him, you sense him. That single choice taught a generation of cinematographers that you can hide information and gain authority. It also taught directors that a frame can imply morality. A bright room feels open, a dark room feels guarded. So the lighting is not just style, it is behavior. But if there is one element that taught filmmakers how to make films, it might be Michael Corleone. The Godfather is a story of transformation, and the entire transformation depends on restraint. That is where Al Pacino changed the game. Pacino was not a movie star when this began. He was not a safe studio choice. He came from theater. He had intensity but did not have public mythology yet. The studio did not want him. They pushed for bigger names. Coppola fought for him anyway. And on set, Pacino did not get treated like a future icon. He was mocked, snickered at. They did not see what he was doing. It's almost funny now since the film would collapse without his exact performance. Pacino plays Michael as a closed book. Not blank, not boring, closed. At the start, Michael looks separate from the family system. He wears a uniform, stands on the edge of the wedding, smiles like a normal guy, speaks with gentle confidence. He says he is not like them, and you believe him. You believe him since Pacino does not hint at where Michael will end up. He does not play the end of the story in the beginning. He plays the present. That is why the shift feels real. Then the film applies pressure. It does not rush. It applies pressure through rooms, a hospital corridor, a dark street, a family meeting, a quiet car ride, a look across a table. Each moment pushes Michael closer to the center, and Pacino adjusts in tiny steps. His voice tightens a little. His gaze sharpens a little. His pauses last longer. His face grows still in a different way. He speaks less. He watches more. You can feel him learning the rhythm of power. What does this film teach actors that many films still forget? That a character can change through silence, and silence can be active. Michael does not talk his way into becoming the next Don. He observes, measures, he chooses moments. Pacino's restraint becomes the engine of suspense. You start watching him the way other characters watch him. And that is the second lesson of the film. The audience will follow attention. If the characters treat a moment like it matters, the viewer will treat it like it matters too. The hospital scene is a perfect example. Michael arrives, and the guards are gone. The hallway feels wrong. The silence feels wrong. He does not panic in a loud way. He becomes alert in a controlled way. He moves his father, calls for help. He solves problems. Then he steps outside with Enzo, and he stands there like a man who has done this before. He has not done it before. That is the genius. Pacino plays the act of becoming. Enzo's hand shakes as he lights the cigarette. Michael's does not. It is in this moment that he realizes he is cut out for this. A combination of his time as a soldier and a measured calm under pressure that was perhaps always there. This moment proves to Michael that he can handle this life, and he begins to act accordingly. You watch a new self form in real time. Then comes the restaurant. This is one of the most studied scenes in American film, and for good reason. It's not just a murder, it is a decision that breaks a life in half. The scene builds tension without noise. Michael sits, he listens, he plays the part. The camera holds longer than you expect. The silence stretches. The subway sound rises, and it feels like pressure inside his skull. Pacino barely moves, but you can see the calculation. Then he goes to the bathroom, returns, and kills them. And afterwards, he does not celebrate nor collapse. He does not explain himself. He drops the gun and walks out. It is as cold as a door shutting. From that point on, the film keeps telling you the same story in quieter ways. Michael does not return to who he was. He may still look like the same person, but the behavior changes. The next lesson shows up here. A good film does not need to keep proving the same point with louder scenes. It can prove the point with consequences. After the restaurant, you see the consequences. You see exile, distance. You see a man learning to live without innocence. Sicily often gets reduced to pretty images in people's memory, but it is functional. It slows time. It gives Michael room to become someone else. It also gives the film room to show what is being lost. Michael falls in love. He speaks softly again. He smiles again. Then violence returns and takes that softness away. The car explodes, and with it, the last soft version of Michael. The film does not need a speech to tell you what that means. You feel it. Then Michael returns to America, and he returns as someone ravaged, ruthless, and controlled. He chooses Kay, promises her a life. He speaks as if he can keep his worlds separate. That lie sits at the center of the story, and the film treats it like a lie from the start without stating it. That is what trusting the viewer looks like. You can watch Michael's face and see the conflict. You can also see his decision. Now we land on the ending. Michael becomes the head of the family, and the film does not frame it as a triumphant win. It frames it as a closing, as a seal. Look at the final scene with Kay. She asks him a simple question. He gives her a simple answer. Then men enter the room and kiss his hand. They call him Don Corleone. Kay watches it happen. Then the door closes on her. That door close is one of the most important edits in cinema. It's not just plot, it is form. It is the film telling you that the story has moved to a place where normal life cannot follow. Now think about The Godfather Part 2. It is one of the rare sequels that deepens the first film's meaning, and Pacino's performance makes that possible. In Part 2, Michael is fully settled, fixed into position. His warmth is gone, his humor is gone, his openness is gone. He sits in a room like a ruler, he speaks like a judge, he listens like a man searching for betrayal. Pacino does not need to change his voice much, he changes the temperature. He turns Michael into a cold presence. You believe it, since you watched the first film build that coldness, step by step. That transformation is the real magic of The Godfather. Not gunfights, catchphrases, or even iconography. It is transformation that feels earned. So here's the third lesson the film teaches. A character arc does not need grand speeches. It needs consistent behavior. Michael's behavior changes, and it never snaps back. That is why it feels real. That is why people keep watching it. They are watching a soul harden in slow motion. Cinema changed here. Now zoom out. The claim I started with is not a slogan. The mark of a film like this is that everything after it carries its DNA. You can see it in the look of modern crime cinema, in the pace of prestige television, in the way directors frame power. You can see it in the way writers let characters speak around the truth instead of stating it. And you can see it in the way audiences learned to accept quiet. Before The Godfather, Hollywood often treated crime as spectacle or morality play. After The Godfather, crime became a family system. It became business. It became ritual. That shift matters. It made room for stories that are not clean, for protagonists you cannot fully admire. It made room for ambiguity without confusion. You see it in Michael Mann. You see it in David Fincher. You see it in Scorsese's work, where power looks like routine. You see it in The Sopranos, where the most dangerous scenes often sound like normal conversation. This is not an accident. David Chase learned from Coppola. So did everyone else. The gift was permission. Permission to slow down. Permission to trust the viewer. Permission to let the camera hold. Permission to let silence speak. And Gordon Willis is a huge reason for that. His lighting did not just change what movies looked like, it changed what movies felt like. He made darkness feel like weight. He made shadow feel like secrecy. He made interiors feel like private worlds with rules. That visual language became a template. People copy it, people study it, people chase it. Very few people can recreate it. Which leads to a strange point. Nothing made after the first two films really looks like them. Even Part 3 doesn't capture it. That is not just nostalgia. The first two have a specific combination of choices that are hard to repeat. They have restraint in every department at the same time. Restraint in camera movement, in performance, music, editing, dialogue, lighting. When all of those restraints line up, the film feels inevitable. Why does restraint feel so gripping in this film? It invites the viewer to participate, and participation creates tension. When a film refuses to explain itself, you start doing the work. You start scanning faces. You start reading pauses. You start anticipating consequences. You become active. That is the point. That is why this film teaches filmmakers how to make films. It teaches them that audience attention can be earned through confidence, not through noise. So when I say cinema changed here, I'm not saying it as fan worship. I'm saying it as craft. This film taught directors to treat scenes like rooms with pressure, not stages with lines. It taught cinematographers that darkness can be story. It taught writers that implication lands harder than explanation. It taught actors that silence can carry an arc, and it taught audiences that quiet can be intense. There is also something deeper happening. The film is about America. It is about power structures that hide behind family language, assimilation, respectability. It is about the cost of building an empire, and it makes those ideas felt, not stated. That method changed everything. Now look back at Michael one more time. At the start, he is the son who wants out. At the end, he is the man who cannot get out. That is one of the simplest and strongest arcs ever written, and Pacino sells it with restraint that still feels modern. It is wild to think a studio did not want him, and to think people mocked him on set. It is also a reminder: the most important work is often misunderstood as it is being made. So when filmmakers talk about The Godfather like it is a film school in one package, this is what they mean. Not how to shoot a gunfight, not how to write a cool line. They mean how to build authority, how to build tension with control, how to let the viewer feel smart, how to let the audience lean in. And if you want the cleanest proof, you can run a simple test. Watch the opening again. Watch how long the camera holds. Watch how little the film explains. And watch how much you understand anyway. And then ask yourself if you could make a studio film today with that kind of patience. That is why this film still stands apart. That is the point of this video. Not to crown it, not to rank it, to show the mechanism, to show the craft choices that rewired the language of cinema. A true shift does not announce itself, it leaves a mark. And after 1972, every serious film carries that mark. Cinema changed here, and we are still living in the world it built. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing for more breakdowns just like this.